I think the most beneficial part of making a podcast is I think you get to learn more about production in general. And also, I think the most beneficial part for me is
Why? We hear you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the first episode of Kinderfield, Highfield Indonesia podcast. Kenalan yuk sama Why?
Apa itu, Wai? We hear you.
Why We Hear You adalah satu bagian dari podcast Kinderfield, Highfield Indonesia.
Kenapa harus why?
We hear you.
Karena kami mendengarkan Anda. Kami membicarakan berbagai hal menarik, kegelisahan, serta informasi yang baik.
Where can we find why?
We hear you.
Teman-teman bisa temukan kami di Spotify dan YouTube Kinderfield Highfield Indonesia. Our guest, special guest for the special first edition. I would like to introduce you to the winner of Highfield Championship podcast competition, Odilia Chiara, Machiko, Indriyo. Hello, Chiara.
hello, Suci, and hello to everybody watching. So first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me here. It is such an honor and pleasure for me to sit here and do a podcast with you.
Thank you very much. Such a nice greetings. Even though this is the first episode, I feel lucky to meet you here because you already make a podcast before, so you know how is the environments and how to, just like now, you greet your listeners. But before that, before we move on to our discussion about the podcast, I would like you to introduce yourself personally, because I'm sure our friends would like to know who is this beautiful girl named Chiara.
Thank you.
Okay, go.
Hello everyone, my name is Odilia Chiara Machiko Indriyo. You can call me Chiara. I'm currently in 8th grade and I'm from Highfield, Depok. My hobby is singing, writing, and watching movies. I think that is it about myself.
Okay, such a active teenage because she done a lot of things, watching movies and producing something. So that's what we are going to know more about Chiara today. From everything that she mentioned before and from the introduction that I gave you before, our main topic for today will be podcast. And I'm curious because as I mentioned before that you are the winner of Highfield Championship podcast competition. Can you tell me when you decide that you want to join this podcast competition? From others competition that held? Or when do you decide that you want to join this competition?
I think it was last year for the 2021 Highfield Championship. That was when I decided I want to join podcast. I think that by joining podcast, I could increase my skills on writing, editing, and speaking. So I think that was the main reason why I want to join podcast.
Also, this is not the first time you join the podcast competition.
Last year, I also joined.
Oh, okay. Did you win?
I won 2nd place.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, miss.
Well, I should dig more about that. But thank you very much for sharing. So you are the 2nd place last year and you are the winner this year.
Yes.
Okay, wow. I think we invite the correct guest for our discussion today. Okay. So you have done it twice. How do you choose your topic to discuss or you talk about on your podcast? How is the creative process behind it? Or you just randomly choose your idea?
Actually, the school picked the theme for us. So, for example, last year was about the pandemic. And then this year, it was about metamorphosis. So, after I got the theme, I started my research. And then I started writing the script.
Okay. Oh, last year is about the pandemic barrier. This
Yeah.
year is about metamorphosis.
Yes.
Which one is more challenging for you?
I think metamorphosis is more challenging because for the pandemic, we actually already have been in it. But for metamorphosis, it's a bit difficult because we're not actually like a caterpillar and a butterfly, right?
Not literally, but
Yeah.
no, but
We will
I get the
deeper about that later.
yeah. Oh, that's nice. Okay, I got the idea. So, you say that last year is much easier compared to this year because we talk about metamorphosis. but you won, it means that what you made is meet the requirements that made by the judges. So we will go to that discussion later. But before we go there, can you share with us the title of your podcast that won the championship?
The title for this year's podcast is Caterpillar Phase, and the subtitle is Failure is a Process.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So can you, after listening to the title, I think it's quite meaningful because as a teenage, they have a lot of things going on, not only on their mind, but on their surrounding. And you mentioned something that personally is quite deep because you need to put yourself on your shoes and other people's shoes to understand what is failure and how to face it, something like that. And can you share with us the complete or maybe a glimpse about what you talk about on your podcast that won the championship?
My podcast tells about how the process of who we are and who we can be. It's like how the caterpillar wanted to be butterfly. And then I think that in that process, we will face many obstacles, such as failure. But we shouldn't give up. We should try again because it's process to get there to the way you want.
Okay. Did you give some, because like this, sometime we heard about the encouragement quite a lot. A lot of people know that they shouldn't give up. What about your own experience? Because when we make a podcast or we make a script, we will also put some of our own experience on it. What about yours? Did you share some of your personal experience there, or you take it from other example?
I actually take it from my experience, but I didn't really tell about my experience in the podcast. So actually, when I wanted to get into Kinderfield for elementary school, I didn't get accepted at first.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because in my previous kindergarten, I didn't learn how to read and write, but for the entrance test on Kinderfield, we need to read and write.
Okay.
But I couldn't do it. So the principal said, okay, I will give you 3 months. You should study really hard to read and write. Then you should take the test again. And I started really hard during those 3 months. And then I passed the second test. But it doesn't end there. During primary, I always get the lowest grades. But I think during 5th grade, my grades increased a lot. So the point is, I think that everything is about process. Like, we didn't get there. It's not like gradually, it's like a stair.
Yes, I agree with you. Wow, that's a really inspirational story to hear. Listening to your experience that you share on your podcast, it reminds me of a word that I got from wise people out there, that slow is the fastest way to reach your goal.
Yes.
So whatever you've done until now is a proof, right?
It's proof.
Yeah, because we cannot hurry anything. Everything should go by its own flow. And you share it with your friend, with your listener through the podcast. Now I know, if I have to say it, no wonder that you won the competition because your topic is deep and it's relatable, especially for teenage, since not all teenage have the privilege to be in an environment where they have someone to listen to.
Yes.
So when they know that other teenage have struggled through something and you share it to your podcast, it means it's a bless for not only you, but for those who listen. So thank you very much.
Thank you very
for
much.
sharing. Okay. Now, let's go technically now. We will go to the podcast part, the production process of the podcast. Can you share with us how does, from the first you hear, oh, it's championship session, because this year is your second year. So can you share on how the process start until the result is uploaded to the judge?
So for the production process, I started by writing the script, and then I would send it to my teacher for them to give me feedback. So at first they would be like, oh, Chiara, I think the script is too long, or if I should emphasize more on this part. Then I edited back the script, and then when the teacher finally said it was okay, I started the recording process. Luckily, and I'm very grateful of, my mom is actually a TV show and YouTube producer, so I get an advantage from her team. They give me advice about the recording process, and for the editing, I also get help alongside with my uncle. So I think the most fun part of the production process is when we choose the background music. I think it is very crucial for the podcast of the background music. If we don't choose a good background music, then the podcast wouldn't be good. If you actually listen to my podcast, you would notice that I have always used piano jazz for the background music.
Okay, because the background music will set the mood of the listeners.
Yes.
And depend on the topic that you are going to talk about.
Yes.
If you choose the wrong background music, it's gonna ruin the the moment of listening.
Yes.
And the message won't reach the listener.
Yes.
Okay. Wow, I only talked to you for about 15 minutes and already got a lot of ideas. Oh, thank you very much, Chiara. We Suci learned a lot today. Okay, Chiara, from your question, I can hear that you have a lot of support from your surrounding. You mentioned your teacher, you mentioned your family, you mentioned your mom's team that help you on the process making of this podcast. Okay, now I'm curious, what about your friend?
Oh, I actually have this two close friends called Inari and Z. They actually helped me a lot. We actually motivated each other like, oh, you can do it, you can do it. Yeah.
Oh, do they enter the same competition?
Yes. Z, I am with Z during the vlog. And for Ginari, she went second place in the Highfield Depok one, but she didn't get to.
The Highfield Championship.
Yeah.
Oh. So how do they feel about it? And how do you feel about their winning? Did you guys congratulate each other? Or like, I don't think I'm going to have Chiara next year.
No, Highfield is actually a very, how should I say it? A friendly community. We support each other. Even if I didn't win, I would support my friend who win.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Because even though I'm a part of the team of Kinderfield Highfield head office, but I never have the chance to go or visit Highfield School yet. Hopefully in the future I can visit Highfield, so
Yes.
I can see that the one that Chiara said just now, that Highfield have a positive environment that
Yes.
encourage the student to have a responsible to life. Yeah, is it correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I have. We remember that tagline of our school, but I like that one. So it's really inspirational. Thank you very much for your answer about your friends. So if you want to say hi to your friends, what you're going to say now? Maybe like, why Chiara go to the podcast one? Why she didn't bring us? What are you gonna say about that?
Oh.
It's okay, just say hi.
Hi guys.
We are here because it's lovely to have Chiara to share. Hopefully next time we can invite your friend too. So why don't you invite your friend?
Yes, I would love to, Miss, if we could make a podcast together again.
Hopefully we can.
Yes.
Maybe the three of you can come here again and share about your experience working as a team, because that will be another idea to talk about, right?
Yes.
It's not easy to find someone that can work well as a team. But
Yeah.
you have found yours. Congratulations. Hopefully it will last at least until Highfield 12th grade, right?
Thank you, Miss.
Okay. Now, Chiara, it's been a second year you are making a podcast. Why you choose? You have shared it before, but I believe that when we choose something, one of the reason is because it will bring benefit for us.
Yes.
Before you mentioned that making a podcast will give you the opportunity to practice your writing skill.
Yes.
Others than that, can you share with with our listener today so they can maybe make a checklist? Okay, not only writing, but I also have other skill or other benefit that come from making a podcast on my own.
I think the most beneficial part of making a podcast is I think you get to learn more about production in general. And also I think the most beneficial part for me is sitting here doing a podcast with you.
Thank you very much. Wow, it's so nice to hear. It's a really big compliment for our team, because you feel honored to be invited here. What about communication skill? Because you mentioned before that you met a lot of people. Since we come from public relation division, so it's not far from that area. We have to communicate with a lot of people. Do you find it challenging, or is come naturally to you?
Of course, I find it challenging at first.
Okay.
I just started last year, so I wasn't that familiar with it. But as with the production process, I meet people and they teach me how to do podcasts. I get to, how should I say it? Increase my communication skills.
Oh, that's good. Which one is the most challenging when you communicate to make sure that the process will go well? For example, maybe for me it's quite challenging to communicate with my teacher because we have different point of view on making the script, maybe something like that. Because sometimes it's not easy for us to tell our idea to other people because we have different point of view and different experience, which will influence our way of making things. Or maybe when you work with your uncle, because usually our uncle will try to nurture us, right?
Yes.
So he will try his best to avoid us from mistake, which sometimes we feel that as a restraining things, like, I cannot be free with my idea. Why something like that? Do you have that kind of experience or obstacles?
No, I think both my teachers and my mom's team, including my uncle, is very, very supportive about the podcast. With this, I want to thank the teachers, Mr. Freddy Principal, Miss Nuri, and Mr. Mario. My homeroom teacher, Miss Santi, Miss Fanti, Miss Ania, Miss Erita, Miss Selfie, Miss Alvin, Miss Mayang, Mr. Fandu, Mr. Fareri, Mr. Colonel, Laushi Gayatri, and all other teachers that I haven't mentioned. I want to thank them so much because they actually helped me a lot during this time.
Wow, thank you very much. I think that's the big family of Highfield Depok, yeah.
Yes.
We really love to meet them sometime. Oh,
Yeah.
that's another plan for the next podcast. Maybe we should invite the
Yes.
Highfield family, especially from Depok,
Yes.
so they can share the secret of guiding their students
Yes.
on reaching their best potential. Even though the preparation is quite short, right? If I'm not mistaken, do you have a club or something, maybe in Depok, that allow you to practice before the championship days?
We don't actually have a podcast club, but the teacher actually give feedback when we send the script to them. So it really helps a lot for me to enhance the script quality.
Oh, so you don't have a club yet? Maybe
Yeah.
it can be considered if we
Yeah.
give the suggestion to
Yes, please.
Highfield Depok.
Highfield
Okay, okay.
Depok, make a
Yes.
podcast club.
That's good. Yes, you can say that. But the teachers' teams is really, really helpful on guiding their students. So I believe it's not only you, right? So all the students that interested on making podcasts, they will guide it personally.
Yes.
Is it mandatory for them, for the student who wants to join the podcast competition, to give the script to the teachers, or is free for them to choose whether they want to be guided by the teachers or not?
I think it is mandatory.
Oh, okay.
But actually the teachers help a lot because I realized that my script were actually too long, and then they also said, "Oh, I think the bridging part should be like this or like this."
So they give pointers, not only like crossing the mistakes, but also give pointers on what you should do to make it better.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's so nice to hear. Once again, it makes me want to meet the big team of Highfield Depok, because I met the Kinderfield already. Okay. Now, doing this, making a podcast, even though you done it during the championship session, if I'm mistaken, it's on January and February, right?
Yes.
Is it in a way supporting your lesson or school activity, or is the other way around? So it's actually like blocking because I'm too interested on this. Now I have to like skip 1 or 2 lesson and I will catch up later, means. But during this session, I put all my effort on it.
I don't think it's a blocking for the academic at all. It actually helps me because podcast inquires writing, right? So I think podcast actually helps me in the academic.
Oh, okay. That's a good insight, because when I make the list of question for you, I was really curious about this, because when we make something and we like it and we are really into it, sometimes we forgot about our main job. Like if I work in an office and maybe I want to make a vlog, because vlog is really, really fun to do, I kind of forgot about my main responsibility, working in office, something like that. But your answer today is to really put or give an inspiring side, because actually you can do both when you see which one is beneficial. Like you said, it help your writing, right? And writing nowadays during Highfield school time or study time, they give you a lot of assignment to be done in writing, right?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, that's nice to hear. Thank you. Okay. Now, from the source that I got, I see that you're not only making a podcast like you mentioned before, you joined the vlog competition also with your friend. Can you give just a glimpse about the process of making the vlog, and how far is different from making a podcast?
For the vlog, I actually make it as a team, not only for myself. We gather our ideas and we put it in one Google Docs, our ideas about blooming and growing. We would compile all that, and after that we would make the script. And then we have this editor in our team. So one would compile the videos, one would put background music, and one would make the script.
So how many in total?
3.
3%?
Yes.
As a team?
Yes.
And each one of you take the responsibility to do one of the tasks or more?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, and compare on making podcasts, which one do you think is, if you have to choose?
To be honest, I'm not really the team type. But team is also fun. I really enjoyed being in a team, but I don't know. I feel like I'm more attracted to me being an individual.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Each one of us have our own preference on working. That
Yes.
doesn't mean that we can do the other one. Like you said, working with a group is fine, but if I can do on my own, that will be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Okay. So you prefer podcast? Okay. My best wishes on your coming days on making podcasts. Hopefully you
Thank
don't stop.
miss.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to close the discussion. Regarding the one that I just mentioned on the future or coming days, let's start from Highfield first. Do you have any plan that you would like to share with your friend? Maybe like, I would like to join another competition next year until grade 12 if they have the podcast competition.
Yes. I actually would love a podcast club in our school.
Mr. Freddy,
He's already.
please.
And I think I want to make a monthly podcast. I'm planning to make a monthly podcast. But nowadays, I actually am filling an animation soundtrack. Yes. So I think I would focus on my singing, but also focus on the podcast later on.
Wow, okay. That's really nice, Chiara. It's really give me I don't know, yeah. I also like to do a lot of things, but the challenge for me is to be focused until one thing is finished to move to another. But you can do all on the same time, and you can do it well. That's really good for you. In a way, I kind of envy about it, but not in a bad way of enviness. It's inspired me, so I have to be focused. Okay, now if because now you have a plan on make the podcast monthly, you still going to do it on your own?
I would love to invite you as a guest.
Thank you very much. You know what I mean is on the production process, because like you said before, to make this one the one that you won on the championship, you got support from your teacher and your family. But for the monthly, I don't think you can get the support from your teacher, or they are already offering.
No, it is my own idea. I think that by joining this last year's and this year's podcast, I decided that I want to improve my podcast so I could make a better and better quality until I can be maybe professional.
Oh no! That's a good plan. That's a good plan, because practice makes perfect, right?
Yes.
So we can learn from one episode to another, which one that we should we should improve and then better. That's your plan, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good luck for you with that. But you are going to do it on your own. I mean, like you don't need a team before, or you are planning to have your own team because monthly is going to be quite. I don't know. For me,
challenging.
yes, quite challenging.
I think at first I will not be on my own because I think I need some guidance. I think my family or my mom's team could help me for making the monthly podcast
Until you are sure.
until I could make it all by myself.
Oh, okay. That's a good plan. Wow. I love a young person who have, like a mindset on what they are going to do. Because once you have that, you know where you're going. If you change your mind on the way, that will be fine. Because I'm sure the one that will change your mind is going to be bigger than the one that you have done now. Otherwise, you won't put your heart on other place, right?
Yes.
So, best luck for you on your plan. I'll
Thank you,
be
miss.
honored if you invite us, the
course.
PR team, to join your
I would
monthly
really love
podcast because Depok is not really far from Tebet. I think we can visit there.
Miss.
Okay. Now, talking about your club, your request to Highfield Depok to have a club. not only asking to do this first episode of Kinderfield Highfield Indonesia podcast, but if you want to make it real, is this what I want to ask is, do you know the process of making a club at your school? The reason I'm asking because if there's something that we can do to help, we will do our best to help.
It will be such a pleasure, Miss.
Okay, so do you know how is the process? Maybe like we make a petition, Miss. If the petition is not listened by school, we are going to make a demonstration, Miss. Make a club, something like that.
I don't really know about the process, but I think the student council would request to the principal, and then if the principal approve, then that club would be made. For that club to be made, we would make competitions. If we were qualified enough, then we would get into the club.
Wow, sorry, I started because I got shocked. To join the club, you have to join the competition first.
From my experience in primary, yes.
Oh, okay. So you the club makes sure that the one who join is those who really interested on the activity.
Yes.
And so like those who dilly-dally won't be able to join, right? So it's gonna waste of time. That's a good way to block the unneeded one, yeah. Okay. No, that's good. I think that should be shared so it can be an inspiration. Maybe if other school listening to our podcast today, they can get the idea. Oh, maybe that's the reason why Kinderfield Highfield Indonesia can have a really marvelous children in it. Oh, okay, thank you, Chiara. So I will try to talk to Mr. Freddy. We know him, of course we know him, yeah. But we will talk to him personally about it. We will discuss whether it's possible for Highfield Depok to have their own podcast club and maintaining the winner of Highfield Championship on the podcast competition. That's good. That's
Pleasure, Miss.
Okay. Now, if you have, this is going to be my last question before we close our podcast and our discussion for today. To our friends who is listening now, do you have any suggestion or maybe any words that you would like to share? If they have the same dreams, or maybe like because as we know, not all of our listeners or our friends who listen have the same environment with you, whether it's school or family. Maybe they don't have the same support, but they have the same dream and they want to try.
I think just do it.
Oh,
Just do what you want.
okay.
Maybe at first you will find many obstacles during the way, but I'm sure you will find a way out. So just do it.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's not only for the listeners, but for me also. I will just do it. Thank you, Chiara. Thank you very much. So today we have learned a lot about podcasts and how the process of making a podcast, especially for our friends who still studying on the high school level. You can get inspiration from our guest today, from Chiara, the winner of Highfield Championship Podcast Competition, on how you can make a podcast on your own. And the last message from Chiara to be shared with you is, if you have a dream, don't need to hesitate. Just
Do it.
okay. Thank you for listening for our podcast, the first edition today. We will close our podcast for now. See you next time on the second episode with more interesting topics to discuss and of course more interesting guests to welcome. See you and bye-bye.
Bye.